Hi students, Teacher Mike here. In this video I'm going to talk about the frog life cycle and show you how to do a frog life cycle worksheet. So frogs are amphibians, and all amphibians go through a metamorphosis. Metamorphosis means transformation, so their body completely changes to something new. It might grow new parts, it might change how it uses parts of its body, and in this video we're going to learn what a frog does during its life cycle and about its metamorphosis, okay? So I'm going to move my camera so that you can see my paper, so give me one moment. All right. So here is my paper. And at the top it says name, so I'm gonna write my name. Teacher Mike. All right. Oh, and I can write today's date as well. So today is 4-20-20. So the 4 is for April. The 20 is for today's date is the 20th, and this 20 is for the year 2020. All right, so this is an amphibian life cycle. A frog is an amphibian, and all amphibians go through metamorphosis. So right here at the bottom, I have different pictures of the frog's life. So frogs start out in an egg, and frog eggs are really jelly. They're a little gooey. They don't have a hard shell like chicken eggs or bird eggs or lizard eggs. They're really soft. So if you had one, you could pick it up. It would squish a little bit. So the inside is this black dot, and that is the frog's body where it's growing. That's how they start off. And then the outside is a white gooey part that protects the inside. So we don't have to do anything with this picture because it has the black dot and the white part already. After the egg is hatched, this is what comes out. This is a baby tadpole, okay? So I want to color that. So this is how a frog starts its life. It has this long tail, and it has 2 eyes in the front, and it has a mouth under there, and they swim in the water. So they use their tail to propel themselves forward while they're swimming. And tadpoles swim in the water, usually in ponds or rivers, and they just swim around. They eat little bugs in the water and little algae to help their body grow. Then they get a little bit bigger, and they're starting to grow hind legs. Hind means back legs. So you can see this back leg right here starting to grow, and their eyes are getting bigger. So this tadpole now has hind legs. They're little hind legs, but they're starting to grow in. And the tail, it's hard to see with this picture, but the tail starts to get a little bit smaller. And so the hind legs grow in. And in this phase right now, this tadpole has gills to breathe. It doesn't have lungs. So it has gills kind of like a fish, and it's living underwater the whole time, and it gets oxygen from the water through its gills. So then it keeps growing, and oh my gosh, that was a huge transformation, huge metamorphosis right here. So let's see what's different. Now the frog has 4 legs. 4 legs means front legs, so it has 2 forelegs, and it has hind legs that are getting much longer and bigger and looking more like frog legs. Look how long these legs are compared to these little guys over here. So the hind legs are getting longer and bigger, and the tail is changing too. As you can see, the tail is changing. The tail gets smaller and smaller. It shrinks down as the frog gets older and is transforming into an adult frog. So also in this stage, you don't see it because it's inside the frog's body, but it's growing lungs inside, and the gills that it's been using to breathe are starting to disappear. So when a tadpole is living in the water, it has gills next to its mouth to help breathe, no lungs. And then the lungs are starting to grow inside its body, so it has lungs like a human does, and it's going to start breathing air from outside of the water. So the tail's getting smaller. Then this is the adult frog right here. This is what we think of when we think of a frog, right? They have these long hind legs that are kind of folded up like this, and then they can stretch them out straight to hop really high. And that tail is totally gone. The tail shrinks down until it disappears, and they don't have a tail anymore. And these forelegs are fully grown in as well. They're a little bit longer than they were over here. I'm going to color the bottom a little bit darker. So we have a little contrast there. All right. So, and also this adult frog has lungs. So inside its body, it has lungs that it uses to breathe oxygen, just like we breathe. And this adult frog lives mostly on top of the land. It doesn't live in water anymore. It can still jump into the water and swim around, but it needs to come out of the water to breathe. Whereas this tadpole, the eggs, this tadpole and this tadpole, they were living in the water the whole time. They couldn't get out of the water. And then this guy is getting out of the water a little bit, but mostly living in the water. And then by the time that it's an adult frog, it's living most of its life out of the water, even though it can still swim. So after I color those in, I'm going to get out some scissors. And remember, when we use scissors, there's a small hole and a big hole. And our thumb goes in the small hole, and we put 2 or 3 fingers in the big hole, whichever feels more comfortable. You can do 2 fingers or 3 fingers. Okay? And when we use scissors, we always point them away from us. We don't point them towards our body. We point them away from us. So what I'm going to do... Sorry, I knocked my camera. This dashed line, I'm going to cut this dashed line. I'm just going to go all the way across my paper. And I'm pointing my scissors away from me, and I'm just moving my thumb up and down, just like that. Okay? So, now I have my different stages of life for my frog. So I'm going to cut the bottom strip off. I'm going to move my holding hand. I can put this strip of paper in the recycling bin. I don't need it anymore. And I'm going to cut off this strip. And this would go in the recycling bin. And I just cut each of these dashed lines. I bet I can get each one in one cut. One, and one. And this is a scrap paper, so I can put it in the recycling bin as well. I'm done with my scissors. So I have my different stages of life for this frog right here. And then I need to get a glue stick. You can use a glue stick or tape. I have a glue stick at home, so I'm going to use a glue stick. And I have these rectangles right here. I'm going to put these stages of life in these rectangles. Take my glue cap off. I can turn this bottom part to make the glue come out a little bit. I like to put the glue on the bigger paper. I think it's easier. I'm just going to put glue in every single rectangle to get each one ready to go. I'm trying to only put the glue in the rectangle. Some of it might come out the sides, but that's okay. And when I'm done with my glue stick, I always put my cap back on. It should click. There we go. Now, the first stage of a frog's life is eggs. So I'm going to get my eggs. I'm going to put them right at the top. Push it down. There we go. The next stage is that tadpole without any legs. So I'm going to follow these arrows. Put this one next. And then the next one starts to grow little hind legs, like that. So I'm going to put this following the arrow. And then the next one, it has 4 legs, bigger hind legs. That tail's getting smaller, so I'm going to come over here. And then the last stage is the adult life, the adult frog. So that's an adult. So this is an egg. Then we have the larva tadpole, and then the baby tadpole. And then this is almost an adult frog. This is an adolescent. And then this is the adult frog. That's its final transformation. So it starts off as a tadpole, and it transforms, metamorphosizes into a frog. Pretty cool. So that is the life cycle of a frog. And once it becomes an adult, the adult can lay eggs. so that new frogs can be born and turn into tadpoles, and then adults. And then those new adults will lay eggs that can grow and turn into tadpoles and then metamorphosize into adults. And it's a cycle. It just keeps going and going and going. All right, that's the end of this video. I hope you have fun with this worksheet. Bye-bye.